everyone. This is this month's webinar on the future of work, creative culture's take. So this webinar actually came off the back of the one we recently did for our clients, which focused on what the future of work looks like for companies and their workplaces. So on this one, we discussed questions like, will we ever go on with face-to-face meetings, and how has corporate culture shifted? So then we thought it would be interesting to look at the flip side with you guys and think about how we as an agency can work better with you and how also you can position yourselves as better long-term partners. So we'll start off by discussing the new focuses for our clients and brands in the post-COVID landscape, and then go on to talk about the new technologies which have arisen during the period and can help you optimize your work. And then finally, we will talk about the most efficient ways of communication, of professional communications in the new era of hybrid working. We'll finish with some polls because we'd like to hear you guys' opinions on things as well. And then we'll try and get through some of the questions you've answered in the Q&A function. Then just to let you know, any useful resources we share, we'll follow up with them in a document next week. So now I'll pass on to Millie to discuss the new focuses.
Cool. So I'm Millie, I'm account manager at Creative Culture. And so part of my role is obviously dealing a lot with the clients and looking at what they need and responding to their requests. And so obviously we've picked up over the last, I don't want to say a few months, but it's been almost a year and a half now. But over the past, over this period, we've obviously noticed a shift in the focuses for clients. And that's generally due to the fact that we have this new, you might have heard of it, this new generation COVID. And this refers to young people generally aged between 16 and 25 who've seen this sort of seismic global event in their lifetime as they've come of age. And it means that what they are looking for from their brands and the people that they consume from, if they are looking for different things, they have very important focuses that in turn mean that they're important to the client, and then as suppliers to these clients ourselves and you guys as well as suppliers to us, it's really important that we're all aware of them. So we think it could be useful for you guys to know about what these new focuses are and these new passions and requirements that people are looking for and expecting from their brands, so that you guys can better position yourselves, suppliers, to know kind of how you can adapt your offerings and your services and your profiles or whatever it may be to be able to better suit those needs. So if we start looking at this generation COVID, can we click through a few slides, Grace? Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Just one more, perfect. If we start looking at this generation COVID, we can see as a generation, they are generally all very young and they have grown up online, mostly on social media. So they represent both an opportunity, but also a challenge for these brands. They're an opportunity in the sense that everything they do is online, again, most notably on social media. So everything that they're interacting with can be monitored. There's so much information out there about their consumption habits, about what they're responding well to, what they're not responding well to. With social media tools, social listening, and community management, we can see how they feel about brands, if they're responding positively to campaigns or negatively to campaigns, if they're swiping up on the Instagram swipe up ads, if they're clicking through, we can look at click-through rates. So there's a massive opportunity there for brands to tap into with their social media. However, they're also a challenge because they've got these brand new focuses and these priorities that are really important to them that they're looking for from those brands that have never really been part of consumerism before. They're coming in with new focuses and new things that these brands need to consider. They're generally more CSR related, so they're very engaged in sort of current movements, sustainability, like all the big things that are going wrong in the world at the moment and the things that need to be fixed. This generation are super engaged with and passionate about, and it's something that they also expect to see from the brands that they interact with and support. So the first one that we can look at, and you've probably heard a lot about it, especially in the past year, is diversity, equity and inclusion. So the E in this now stands for equity, which is a state of a level playing field for everybody, regardless of ethnic background, country of origin, age, gender, physical ability, disabilities. This is all a state where everybody has equal opportunities, essentially. And so this can be in terms of representation. It can be looking at, you know, the people that are seen in the campaigns that brands are putting together, but also internally. So are the companies diverse? Are we seeing representation within the workforce? Is this representation authentic? Like, do companies back up what they're putting in their campaigns? Because these are the generation that are going to dig deep. They're looking at brands and seeing exactly what it is they're doing at the heart of their organization, and not just what they're putting out there. It's very easy to be called out now as a brand, so this has to be authentic. And they're also looking at, is the language that they're using, is it inclusive, is it appropriate, is there anything offensive that they're doing? These are all big things that brands are now having to really focus on. And this is where we can be quite key to our clients, because obviously we pride ourselves on being really culturally aware. This is something that we've always done as a focus. So whether it be like calling out inappropriate words or concepts that could be offensive to different target groups in cross-cultural audits, or if it's looking for trying to use inclusive language in our trans creations or copywriting, this is something that we can do naturally as we carry out those services. There can be things that we're naturally looking out for, but also on the flip side, it can be something that brands are coming to us for specifically to help them shape their DEI strategy. So we can do diversity consulting. We've got a lot of new offerings now that help that specifically, but it's also something to consider in the background, no matter what project it is that we're working on. And then just to flip through some of the other focuses and priorities quite quickly, sustainability is also a massive one for a lot of Generation COVID. So they're looking at their suppliers. Clients are coming to us because they want to know that their suppliers do we have sustainable best practice? They're looking right down the supply chain at how we, in terms of ethics as well, how we treat our employees, how we treat our suppliers. Like, do we have good rates? Are we reliable and, you know, respectful in the way that we work? And it trickles right down from the client who comes to us to ask for a proposal or a request for information or request for a proposal, and it goes right down to you guys as freelancers in the chain of work. And then other things come into more of like the channels. So social media is obviously huge. I've kind of already touched on this, but social media is where all of the marketing focuses are at the moment. Well, obviously there's still variety, but social media is really where Generation COVID are finding their brands. Things like TikTok are spreading new waves and new things of popularity. So it's definitely where brands are focusing all of their efforts. And we've done campaigns for different brands as well that are supposed to be used specifically on social media. So whether it be Instagram filters to engage with their target audience, or it could be swipe up ads or TikTok ads, like everything like that is huge right now. So this is a big focus that Grace is going to touch on quite a bit later in terms of how that affects the services we can offer and the services that you guys can train in and, you know, gain more projects essentially. And then finally, we have, despite everything being digital and online and social media, people are really lacking and valuing that human touch, that human value, just having that human focus. Despite everything being virtual, we're looking at screens all day. People really value that genuine human connection, so they can see when a brand is being genuine. They can see when they're trying to talk human to human and not big corporate brand to little consumer. So that human touch is super, super important as well. And then coming back under that human focus, we also have mental health. And that's something that consumers are looking for, to see how companies, do they have good best practices? Do they look after their staff? Do they prioritize mental health? Is it something that they talk about openly as a brand? Because they could have campaigns around it, around awareness. It's just something that is massively, massively important to this generation. And just for a quick statistic, we've got research that shows that 64% of young Europeans are now at risk of depression. And that's up from just 15% from before the crisis. So it's something that has really reshaped how we look at mental health. It's something that means it's become a priority now for brands to also think about from within their organization, but also how they speak about it. This generation are looking to uncover that stigma and have that conversation, and it's definitely something that's coming through. So all in all, brands are definitely having to have more of a CSR focus, and we can see that in a lot of the work that's coming through to us at the moment. So just something to bear in mind.
Yeah, so obviously I'm a project manager, and that means I'm a lot more on the project side of things. So I'm always on the lookout for the new tools that can streamline projects. And over the pandemic, there's been a lot of new technologies developed which can streamline and optimize our work, but also new services that our clients are looking for. So first of all, some of these new tools can actually help us meet the trends that are our clients' new focuses that Millie was talking about. So first of all, you have Textio, which is an augmented writing tool, and it basically shows you how well your words are going to work. So it can tell you whether your tone is too masculine or feminine, what age group it will appeal to, and even if there's any corporate cliches in the writing which won't go with the sort of CSR focus that is happening at the moment. The other one is the Microsoft Inclusivity tool. So on Word, this tool can now help you consider how to use more inclusive writing language in your writing. So for example, it would flag mankind and suggest replacing it with humankind. So as you can see here, you can filter for lots of different types of biases. So you've got age bias, cultural bias, ethnic slurs, and lots more. Interestingly, there is still a bit of a way to go in terms of gender neutral pronouns. There isn't enough data yet to teach the algorithms the proper grammatical uses in all situations. But for the moment, the tool will flag will not flag, when they is used in a single context. So, for example, they are finishing their exam tomorrow, the tool wouldn't flag that, which is quite a big step in terms of inclusivity. The next thing we're going to discuss is more of a service that we can provide to our clients. So as we've spotted that our clients are actually asking more for SEO as a service. So for those of you who aren't familiar with that, SEO stands for search engine optimization, and it's basically finding the most popular keywords people enter when they use search engines, and then it then means that brands can use these as their keywords, so their website will appear first. This search has a huge market share. Just search traffic only, 73% comes from organic, while only 17% comes from paid search. So it shows that SEO and organic search is really important, and brands having the right keywords and SEO strategy is key to their success. This trend is only being magnified by the pandemic as more and more people are moving to online shopping. So brands really want their websites to appear first, and for consumers to click through. So the problem is that when brands want to expand into other international markets and they want to translate their keywords, often keywords can lose a massive search volume in this process. So here you can see, for example, an English gift ideas for women over 40 has a huge number of keyword hits, whereas when translated directly into French, this goes to zero. Oops, sorry. So at Creative Culture, we offer this service to our clients. We spend about a week doing the SEO research, looking into what are the main trends for consumers searching on the internet in a market, and we then work these keywords into our translations. So as this is becoming even more popular with our clients, we think this is a really good way for you to expand your repertoire and get to more projects. So to become an SEO specialist translator basically consists of copywriting training and also digital marketing / SEO training. So there's some really good free courses online. Google's Fundamentals of Digital Marketing is a great free resource and a quite well respected digital marketing qualification. And LinkedIn Learning also has some really good copywriting for SEO courses. So moving on to the more strategic projects, in this field, Discover AI is at the front of these developments. So Discover AI is a cloud-based tool that uses artificial intelligence to uncover valuable insights from documents and websites in order to speed up desk research. So it works by the user uploading documents and publicly available websites, and then using linguistic algorithms, the tool compares the website to a database of 20,000 cultural and brand sources to find those common themes and trends which provide the key nuggets of insights. So the benefits, obviously, it massively speeds up desk research, and it also translates all sources into English. A good thing to know is that the tool is not going to replace humans at this point. There's still a lot of things that it can't do. So the tool can help find answers to complex questions which rely on past data to create cipher themes. So for example, of a question it could answer would be, how can I win a game of chess against a grandmaster? But the tool cannot answer those intractable questions which require sort of analogy and human intelligence. So an example of this would be, why do people like chess and how do we get more people to play? This really requires a level of human emotional intelligence analysis. So when using this tool, it's important to know that it can help you speed up your desk research massively, but it's really there for helping you to decipher the what, not exactly the why. And obviously the why is what's really important to the insight industry. So lastly, we have social listening tools. As Millie was saying, social media has become the new biggest communication channel, and brands need to stay in tune to the discussion and sentiment around them on social media. So social listening tools allow brands to monitor their social media streams all at once. They can discover insights to lead to new opportunities, solve issues experienced by customers, and also identify influencers that could become brand ambassadors. So a strategist trained on social listening tools is very useful because it really allows them to do all these things. And so the big social listening tools like Sprinkler are very expensive. So a brand would usually give an expert working on a project for them access to their tool. You wouldn't have to pay for it by yourself. So in terms of the latest developments in the social listening tools industry, that this would definitely be Hootsuite Insights. So Hootsuite is an already existing social listening tool which allows you to see different social media streams at the same time. But Hootsuite Insights takes it a step further and gives you data from 1.3 trillion social posts in real time. You can then filter these posts for certain topics with keywords, as well as by geographies and demographics. So considering what we do at Creative Culture, this is really important, because you can get the sense of the overall tone of an online conversation for a specific demographic group in a given area, which you might be completely different to the country the brand is based in. So as I said, the biggest, most popular social listening tools online are very expensive, and companies usually pay for them themselves. But there are some good resources out there for you to get started on if you want to try out social listening and the tools that can help you with that. So again, LinkedIn Learning has a really good course on social media monitoring strategies and skills. And there is a social listening tool called Mention, which is a lot smaller than the others. You can compare 3 social media accounts at a time, but it is a free version, which is great to practice on and help you get started. So yeah, I'll hand over to Millie to talk about communications.
Cool, thank you, Grace. So just one other thing in terms of technology, it's not necessarily a new tool in itself or a new platform, but it's something that we've seen more and more as obviously we're trying to, you're probably sick of hearing it, but streamline and optimize all processes, is that sometimes clients actually ask us to work directly in the back end, potentially of their website, or if they're developing an app, they might have their own platform set up. So obviously we have our own cat tool that a lot of you are used to using, but sometimes the client will ask us to use their platform directly in order to be able to integrate content straight into their app or their website or whatever it might be. So it's just yet another way that technology is developing and streamlining so that we can, you know, make these processes work and smoother and faster. So it's something to be flexible around. So in the same way that we've got loads of new technology and there's new communication styles in terms of external communication for brands and the communications that they're putting out there on a global level, we also want to make sure that we are communicating as effectively as possible with you guys, so both efficiently and effectively, so we're getting all of the information to you but also as quickly as possible, and making sure that you feel comfortable in contacting us as well. So we know that obviously everything has been online recently. We're looking at screens all the time. There's emails pinging backwards and forwards. We're all way more connected online. But we're trying to pick up the phone more often and speak with you guys. And especially if it's an urgent availability check or we've got an urgent question or an update on a project, we like to just be able to call you. It puts that human touch back in there. We get to speak normally rather than having to put everything into an email. Obviously our emails are still going to come, you're still going to receive plenty of emails from us, but we're trying to more and more where we can. It's just nicer to hear a voice than reading another email, so we're just trying to get more into talking rather than typing. So do please make sure that your details are all up to date on the PMS. If you've got phone numbers that you can put in there, mobile numbers or alternative work mobile numbers, however works best for you, whichever contact number you're happy for us to use, make sure it's up there on the PMS so that we can get hold of you when we need you. And in the same breath, in terms of being able to talk rather than just loads and loads of text to read and briefing information to go through, we're trying to get you guys on board with more and more briefing calls with the client so that you can hear the brief directly from the client. You get to understand how they work and their sort of style and how they are, what they're like. We feel it really adds to the whole project experience and helps you get a better idea of what it is they're looking for. And again, it's that whole human focus. You get to actually speak with a human being. You're not just reading another brief, and obviously you can take from that your own information as well, and it's an opportunity for you guys to ask questions there and then. And then if you guys are comfortable with it, we've recently been using WhatsApp a little bit more, so we can get hold of you again if it's more urgent, a bit quicker than an email. It's a bit more informal as well, so obviously when we've been working with some of you, you're very trusted collaborators, we've built up that relationship. It's a bit less of a rigid communication email, and it means we can just get in touch with you very quickly and easily. There's no sort of obstacles there, and you're probably more likely to see it before your email. And then finally, it also helps if you, because we have access to the voice note function, it's easier to sort of explain a question or an answer and sort of communicate that with you a lot quicker and a lot easier than trying to explain a very specific part of a file by email. And then a couple of other instant messaging options are Slack and Loom. So Slack, first of all, is a professional instant messaging platform. It's a bit like Google Chat or Teams or whatever platform you might be used to using, but you don't have to have a specific account or address to use it. You'll be set up on the platform on Slack, and we've used it a little bit on some larger projects where we've actually been able to create a group chat with the project manager and the different specialists that are working on it. So some of you may be familiar with that if you've been on that project. And it's just a lot quicker. You can go back and forth with questions because it's instant messaging. The project manager will be online as well and can get back to you quite quick. And also because if you're in a group chat, you can see if someone's already asked a question that might apply to you later down the line. You've already seen that question and answer, and you don't have to go back and forth with it. And then finally, Loom is another new tool that we've been using recently. It's a very new one, but if it goes well, you might be receiving some more Loom recordings from us guys in terms of tutorials and trying to show you how to do stuff. But Loom is basically a video messaging app. And it's almost like when you go on a call and you share your screen, the same way Grace is doing now, you'd be able to like do a little demonstration of showing somebody how you're doing it. You can do that and it records your whole screen, it records what you're saying, and it records you talking as well. And it basically lets you do what you would normally do on a call, sharing your screen, except you don't both have to be free at the same time. You can record it, send it to them, they can watch it when they're free, and it also stores it in a library so that they can refer back to it if they need to see how to do it again further down the line. So it's very, very useful, and it's something that we're trialing at the moment, and we may use more and more in the future. Yeah, so I think we're going to go into some polls now. We've got some questions for you guys.
Yeah, so we're going to share some polls with you. They should appear in front of your screen now. Just to let you know, all your answers will be anonymous. So yeah, it'd be great to hear from you guys what your opinion is. So now I'm going to pass on to Millie to answer any questions you guys have had.
Cool. So we only had a couple of questions here. We've not had any live as we've gone, but there was one that was asked, two kind of with the same meaning basically, but asking about sort of automation and how things are going to be more automated further down the line, and we're going to see more sort of machine translation and stuff. And I think the honest answer is it's going to be a mixture. Well, obviously, as we've seen, there's loads more technologies coming in, there's loads more tools to get on board with, and there's lots more opportunities in terms of different like resources that we can use, and a lot of that does automate the processes. So in working in the back end of a website, or the different ways that we can streamline the tools that we have, is definitely going to be something that we see more of. But I don't know, Grace, unless, like you said, there's a lot of tools that just simply can't replace human intelligence, and unless you have a different take on it, I would say that it's not gonna go to an extreme where we're going to be out of a business. Basically, hopefully it's only gonna enhance what we can provide. If we can get insights quicker, if we can use machine translation and potentially enhance it. But I think a lot of it is going to be it's going to need a lot of human intelligence and especially cultural awareness to really tap into and get the value from it.
Yeah, and I think, as you were saying, Millie, since the pandemic, the human touch of brands is still really important, and
exactly.
That can't be achieved by machines. Like, I think we've all read some, translations that we can tell instantly there wasn't a human involved in them, and that's really not what consumers want these days. So there's definitely still going to be a massive importance for human intelligence, not just AI and machine translations.
Yeah, exactly. And especially if we're looking at using sort of inclusive language, there's just no way computers, they're going to need humans to tell them what is and isn't acceptable language nowadays. So it's not going to be something that they can just learn and replace human intelligence with. I know we did a whole webinar, if you guys are interested in how to make inclusive content. So we have a recording of that if anybody is interested. And we looked at sort of how gender neutral pronouns can come about, or how you can make your writing more gender neutral without having to use specific pronouns or refer to anything. So that's a really good example of how you know, that needs human nature to sort of to restructure the whole phrasing, rather than just being able to go, yep, this and this is a gender neutral pronoun, we'll stick it in. It needs to be done in a way that's natural and idiomatic and not forced. So yes, I hope that answers, we kind of grouped that into one because we don't have very much time left, but I hope that answered the 2 pending questions. Obviously do send us an email or a WhatsApp or however you prefer now to ask any further questions or to clarify anything if that wasn't clear enough for you guys. But yeah, I suppose that leaves us to wrap up. So we're just going to leave you with 3 sort of key takeaways. So obviously we've looked at a lot of new focuses, and the first takeaway would be to kind of just keep them in mind, bear in mind that these are things that people are looking for, and it's things that you can take on board throughout all of your projects, whether it be specific services, whatever, or if it's just writing transcriptions and copying, but just bearing in mind, how can I make this more inclusive as a copy, or how can I look out for anything insensitive? Is there any examples of glorifying phenomena that aren't like potentially suicide, or if there's any potentially problematic areas that could come up and the client needs to be warned about them, be more proactive, be aware that these are things that customers will pick up on, and advise the client, leave a comment, and make sure that you feel confident to bring it up. Secondly, skill up. So as Grace has given us loads of examples of the different services and the ways that you can train on those and learn those services, as we see there's loads more services coming through that people are needing nowadays. So do take advantage of the free resources and the tools that are out there, and try and skill up and see what else you can add to your offering. If it's pairing with what you already do already, if you could add SEO into a string to your bow, amazing. And then finally, the key, I would say, in the future of our industry, we don't know how it's going to go, but the key is definitely going to be remaining flexible. So be flexible, be open to new tools, to new ideas, to new focuses, to new methods of communication, and constantly be thinking how we can improve it. I think the main learning for us is that everything is developing very, very quickly, quicker than we've known it ever. And however it pans out, we're going to have to be on our toes and flexible to be able to deal with and do our best. So they were my key learnings for you guys, and we're going to wrap up now. I'm sorry we've run over a little bit, but like I say, if you have other questions, we can look into them later. So do get in touch. And thank you guys for joining.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.